to this story that's been quite a talking point this week. Naomi Osaka's withdrawal from the French Open is not only a loss to the tennis tournament, but it raises important questions about how professional sports people cope in the glare of often harsh publicity. Now, initially, Osaka said she would compete but not appear at the press briefings after the games, as she found some of the questions too harsh. Since then, she's decided not to compete at all. Let's talk about the mental health pressures that sportsmen and women have to deal with, and I'm joined now by Dr Henning Gericke, sports psychologist who has worked with the Springboks, among other teams. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. When you heard the news about Naomi Osaka, did you think, finally, someone's spoken out about how tough it can be, or do you see her plight as quite unique to her?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think definitely one can't underestimate the pressures sport people are having and experiencing massively. But I think in her case, it's all about individually. She's not maybe in a good space at the moment. She finds it difficult and she just want to get out of that situation. And it's part of her contract, actually. So it's a difficult one, but she needs to deal with that because that's part of her contract and that's part of what she needs to do, actually. But there's maybe not a lot of sensitivity for that as well. So it's a combination of a few things happening here, Sally.
Do you think she's made the right decision?
I definitely think so, because you can hear the support from a Serena Williams, from a Martina Navratilova. So she's got a lot of support, actually. It shows there's more than just the way she feels. There's more people that feels exactly the same. And I think she's true to herself, because the person always comes before performance. And for me, that's powerful. She's taking control. She's maybe not feeling well. She's not in a good space. And she decided that's the way to go. But she can't do it in the long term, like I mentioned, because at the end of the day, she needs to be in there. You can't create a precedent there. And if you don't feel well, you're not going to go into the press conference. So it's a difficult one, but I think one can learn. It's a learning for her. It's a growing for her. It's mentally getting tougher for her, because that's the way going forward. Winning a Wimbledon, winning a French Open. The media is going to be always there. They build you up, but if it's tough times, you need to be there as well. So I think it's a lot of learning is going to take place for her, Sally. But I think it opens up a sensitivity for sport people, what they go through. And there's some people that's maybe not in a good space, and how they're going to cope with that, that's going to be the challenge.
And I would imagine that it's interesting that it was a woman who chose to speak out about just how tough it can be when you get criticised. I would imagine that the way men are socialised, it's even harder for rough, tough rugby-playing men to open up about how hurtful it can be. I'm wondering about some of the conversations you might have had to have with sports stars over the years when they are dragged on social media, they get harsh criticism from the fans. What do you say to them to get them through not only those awful criticisms, but also the fact of sort of the public humiliation of it happening in the media glare?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because it's going to depend from person to person. The important thing is know yourself. So know what's good for you, know you're going to react, know, learn some skills. But some people are just more sensitive. That's his reality. And they find it difficult. A lot of times you get it more in individual sports like cricketers or whatever sport you're doing on an individual level. It's much tougher a lot of times, because you on your own, you feel on your own. But it's a journey you need to face, and it's a journey you need to know yourself. But I think it's so important to speak up, Sally. That's what it's all about. For me, everything that happened and what Piers Morgan said about being arrogant and being a brat, I don't think that's appropriate. I really think the challenge is we need to speak up. And if she can speak up, and what she did, I think that's why she got the support, Sally. And I think more people need to speak up. And it's not a weakness, Sally. It's not a weakness at all. Because you're human, you've got all those pressures, you need to cope. You want to be at your best, and sometimes you're just not at your best. Yeah, that's for everyone in the world.
Yeah, well. In fact, I think it shows remarkable strength on her part to actually be brave enough to speak up about the troubles that she's facing. I want to speak to you about the Olympics, which we hope are going to happen this July. From a sort of psychological and a motivational perspective, how's it going to impact on sports people having no or very limited crowds in the stadium?
Yeah, I think that's not going to sell it. That's maybe not going to be the main focus or the main concern for athletes, because they're so focused. I've been involved with rugby at the moment, the Bulls rugby team. And, we play games and the players don't even mention it more. I think it will come back and be wonderful. More issue if the Olympic Games are going to continue or not. So there's things you can control and things you can't control. And there's not going to be spectators, but they're going to create their own vibe, their own inner energy, because that's going to be important. And maybe it's a little bit easier to the outside focus to shift that away and just to be internally the best you can be. The vibe will be there. There will be energy because you're a professional athlete. It's a pity, of course, Sally, that we won't have that chemistry and that vibe there. But the athletes, they will. I can promise you, they're going to be fine. It's just if it's going to go on or not, and that's maybe a concern for them.
Absolutely, because of course for some it might be their last chance. Before I let you go, I have to ask you a quick question. Next month, and it still seems to all be on track, is the British and Irish Lions Tour. It's a huge event. Fans are really looking forward to it. How do you think emotionally the players, the Springboks and the other local players who are going to be part of those matches, how are they best able to prepare? Because some of them, of course, have not really competed internationally for quite some time.
Yeah, the Springboks hasn't played till it was November 2019, but they're competing at the moment overseas, different clubs, and I think there's gonna be such an energy vibe because it's every 12 years you get the British Lions here. So I work with Morne Steyn at the moment, and it's not to say he's going to be in the team, but guys like him, and Dwayne Vermeulen is our captain. They're looking forward, the captain of the Bulls, of course, but they're looking so forward for this upcoming British Lions Tour, So I think it's going to be special. It's going to be different. There's not going to be crowds, it looks like it, but it will be special, Sally, I can promise you. And the players will be ready because they have got training camps. They're looking forward. They're world champions. They want to defend playing like world champions. And I think we're gonna be fine. I really think so, Sally.
All right, thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. We really do appreciate your time. That was Dr Henning Gericke, sports psychologist there.